Good morning, Monica. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
August 31st, 2023, and we're doing another podcast. And today's podcast, we will be covering the different levels of residences for seniors. And Monica and I will go into a little depth as to what the difference and in terms of the residences and what options each one of them provide. So we have four levels of care:
Mm-hmm.
independent living, assisted living,
Mm-hmm.
memory care,
Yes,
and skilled nursing facility, which is also known as SNF.
that is correct.
So would you like to elaborate a little bit about each one of those?
Yeah. So, a lot of people come in and they're a little bit confused about the difference between independent living and assisted living.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very big common question that's asked is, I'm looking for independent living. I don't need any type of help. But what they fail to understand or even recognize is independent living is independent, where you're living now. It could be a 55 plus community. There's no care. Maybe they have an area to go get meals, but there's no oversight whatsoever. If you need any type of care, you need to then hire it on your own. So essentially, independent living is almost the same as if you were living in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fall into the category of assisted living. And can somebody move in independent but coming into an assisted living community? Yes, right.
What
see
do you
this all the
mean
time.
they live in an independent and moving?
So I'll tell you, Moti. There's a big statistical study that just got released that, according to Department of Human Health Services, 70%, between 70 and 80% of seniors that are over the age of 70 need some kind of help
Mm-hmm.
in the home. Whether they recognize it or they don't recognize it, it's a proven statistical study, right? And this just got released.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do we mean by independent versus assisted living? Again, you're in your own home. You have to cook for yourself. You have to clean for yourself. You have to drive to your appointments. You basically have to do everything yourself. When you move into an assisted living community, maybe you don't need all of the clinical or nursing care component that's plugged in, but you do need somebody to help you cook. That's the number one. Maybe clean and help you with laundry and coordinate your doctor's appointments, right? So there's the very first signs of the difference between independent living and assisted living.
Okay. So in an assisted living, so independent living is like we all live in some sort of independent living, whether it's in your home, your condo, or a 55 plus community. That's independent. And then assisted. Now, I also want to mention that independent livings are not licensed by any state agencies. However, assisted living, memory care communities, SNFs, skilled nursing facilities, they're all licensed.
Yep.
Assisted living facilities and memory care, they're licensed by the Department of Social Services, community care licensing.
Yes.
And skilled nursing facilities are licensed by the Department of Health, two completely separate entities. So if there is, and obviously they have to abide by some regulations that are strictly enforced in the community. And you also have, as a resident living in the licensed facility, you also have, if there's a problem, you have a place to go and file a complaint, and that complaint will be investigated.
Yeah.
If you are live in an independent living, then you kind of sort of on your own.
Yeah. And let me cover too the biggest, one of the other biggest questions that's always asked is, again, the difference between independent, assisted memory care, and skilled nursing. Skilled nursing is covered by your Medicare benefit if you have a qualifying criteria, right? And this is a common question that's asked.
But isn't it only for a temporary?
Yes, time? and this is the portion that many people don't understand, where our seniors will say, well, I have a Medicare benefit. How can I utilize that inside of an assisted living? Well, you can't. You can't use your daily stay inside of assisted living. You can only use it inside a skilled nursing facility. However, in the skilled nursing facility, there's reasons why you would qualify for it. And one of them is you just had surgery and you need PT, physical therapy. You had a stroke, you need physical therapy. You lost the ability to swallow and eat, and you need a feeding tube temporarily. That is covered by Medicare. You're diabetic and your sugar levels are really fluctuating really bad and they need to be monitored. And the fifth one is you have a really bad bed sore that for some reason opened up and it's bad and it needs to be monitored. Those are the main reasons why Medicare would cover your stay in a skilled nursing facility. However, you're looking at the ratios, the care. It's more of like secondhand to hospital stay.
Yeah, skilled nursing facilities are, that's why they're licensed by the Department of Health. They are sort of kind of intermediate transition between a hospital and your home or whatever your long-term. Yeah. It's not meant to be long-term care, a long-term stay. It needs to be your temporary, transitionary, right? So you go in there, you have doctor, you have nurses, you have PT, OT, whatever you need. And then you move on. And so Medicare will pick that up because it's considered part of the rehab service. And then you go and you go either home, independent living, which is independent living, or you go to an assisted living or whatever you need.
But I also think, Moti, there's a big misunderstanding with, somebody gets hospitalized, they're in the hospital for, all you need is a 3-day qualifying stay in a hospital to qualify your Medicare in a nursing facility. So there's this misconception or misunderstanding of you're in the hospital and now the hospital got you somewhat better, but now it's you need to get yourself better at home or somewhere else. And you think of the situation of, well, do I go to skilled nursing and allow Medicare to pay for it? Can I go to assisted living? Can I go to independent? Well, we talked about independent, right? Where independent is like if you're living at home. There's really nothing there. You can hire your own caregivers. Assisted living, you can go to an assisted living community. Most assisted livings today are built with the infrastructure of having nursing team, caregiving team, providing your meals, everything that you would need to help you get better, right? So these are some of the differences between independent living, a 55 plus community, then it goes into the category of assisted living. Do I need that? Do I not need that? What do I need that's in assisted living? The word assisted living is very intimidating for many people.
Yep.
I don't need that level of care. Maybe you don't need it, but everything's here should you need it in the future, right?
Yep.
And then you have memory care, and that's for people who have
dementia.
Not so much dementia, cognitive issues.
Cognitive issue, yeah.
And then of course we've covered skilled nursing facility.
Yep.
So in those 4 residencies that are covered for our seniors, again, most people will say, which one do I need? I don't really need assisted living, but to getting out of the term assisted living, it's a community that has a lot of amenities for you or someone to enjoy, and then everything is there for them to be able to be looked out after should something happen. It takes 24 hours. Sometimes you wake up and you're not feeling well. Well, in an assisted living community, you have a nurse that will be able to assist and help figure that out, call the doctor for you, set up an appointment, right?
Absolutely.
So this is where the miscommunication now, it was also just released by long-term care insurance companies, which is an insurance that does cover for
So just for the record, I think we should mention this, the only insurance that pays for assisted living, memory care is long-term care.
That is correct.
No other insurance will pay for this. I know it's a different subject, but it is I personally highly recommend for anyone and everyone I look at it as an investment. You don't have to depend on anyone. We actually have a few residents, if they would never buy one, they would never be able to live with us. And these policies are pretty good, very easy to activate, and they do cover pretty much everything. And it could be expensive.
I wouldn't say they're easy to activate though. If you have, I don't know, somebody who's 83 and has a pre-existing condition, you don't qualify for the long-term care.
No. I mean to activate once you need services.
Right, but if we're talking about somebody who comes to you and says, "How do I look into a long-term care insurance policy?" Most people
83
already
is too
have,
late to get one.
Yeah,
I'm talking about if you already have a policy, you elect to move into a community.
You can activate it.
It's easy to activate so they start to pay for the services, for the benefits. Yeah,
that is correct.
There's some sort of deductible period, maybe 2 or 3 months, but otherwise it steps in and covers more. Whatever.
And even the insurance companies are indicating that the average cost starts out at about $4,000 and it goes all the way up to $12,000-15,000 per month. Depending on the amount of care. So there is no, again, to differentiate between independent, that's you're not really needing anything, and then you go to assisted living, you can move in not needing any type of care, but it's all there for you should you need it in the future, and you're kind of set. And then memory care is for the cognitive issues and to keep you safe. And then, of course, you have your skilled nursing facilities that we talked about a little bit.
So since we're on the topic of cost, I do want to bring in another, I want to talk about also something that is called CCRC, which stands for Continuing Care Residential Community. That's what it stands for, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what that is, this is just to inform our audiences. It is something that you buy in. Let's say you pay in $500,000 where you come in, and then they guarantee that they will take care of you all the way through. That's why getting into one of these CCRCs, they usually do a financial background on you.
Yes.
And what they do is they, after that, once you move in, they have all levels. You have all levels of care: independent, assisted, memory, and SNF, skilled nurse, so all 4 levels under one umbrella.
Right.
And if somebody passes on, expired, dies, then, or if you elect to move out, then depending on the contract, then you get back 80% or 90% of your initial investment. So pretty much what these CCRCs do, they use your money up front to develop and invest in other building. And then they give back, and then you can live with them 10, 20 years, and then they give you back, let's say 80% of what you gave them, but 80% so they pay you back less 20 years later, and it's not, the value of the 80% is less than what you originally put in, so that's another thing that assisted livings cannot do. We do not have buy-ins.
Well, you have what's called community fee, which is a small portion. But to go back a little bit on the CCRC, they don't get, to my understanding, you
also pay monthly fees, just for the record.
So you do a buy-in, and the only way to actually get the entire amount almost refunded after, some time is only within the first 90 days if you move out. After that, you pretty much don't get any of it back, and they have.
You mean in the CCRC?
Correct. And they
depends on the contract.
Well, most of them, even you can live there for 2 years, you're not getting any of it back. So their promise to you is that they have the continuing levels of care where they're going to take care of you, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get any of that money back. So it's after 90 days that they don't. So highly suggest for people to look at their contracts before they do that.
Yeah, no, for the most part that I know, and I know a few operators that so you buy equity in your unit, but I'm not sure. From the operators that I know, you do get back. It just depends on how much you get back.
Right.
So 80% or 90%, but it's if you buy, it's like your room or your apartment in there, and then you have your monthly fees.
And again, the CCRCs are usually, that's where you find the independent living, the assisted living, the memory care, the skilled nursing.
In order to be qualified as a CCRC, you must have 4 levels of care. You cannot have, if you don't have skilled, you cannot have you're not a CCRC. Yeah. So That's why, yeah. So it's, and plus it's a little different of a licensing criteria to get to open a CCRC. But
yeah, so again, even just, for our listeners, the CCRCs have all 4 components of level of care. And so again, if you're in the independent side, this is where some people will come through and say, I'm looking for independent care. And then they don't understand the financial impact or, what it looks like. So it's really buying a unit in the independent living, and then you can go through the phases.
And age in place.
Right. And then if you go to a standalone assisted living and or memory care, then you're just paying your monthly fees that you need for the day-to-day care that you're requiring.
That's
so those are basically kind of like the main components and the differentiated levels of care between, independent and memory care and what have you not.
Well, I think, Monica, we covered pretty much the different options seniors have, excluding their home if they want to move into places. So again, CCRC, which covers all 4 levels of care. You have independent living, assisted living. Usually assisted living, memory care go hand in hand unless it's a standalone memory care.
Yes.
And then you have skilled nursing, which is designed to be short term, not long term. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
The only big thing that I'd like to mention is, again, it's really important for either family members or seniors themselves to really look at. They may think they don't need an assisted living community because they don't need that care, but it's not really looking at the word assisted living. It could be that you need it for social reasons. You want to interact with other people. You need someone to help you cook. You need someone to help you clean. You need someone to help you with laundry and or doctor's appointments. So the word assisted is sometimes a little intimidating, but it's really not.
And misleading also could be.
It is. So it's really just a matter, somebody can move into an assisted living community needing nothing.
Yep.
And knowing that you have the comfort of having the nursing team, the caregiving team, your meals prepared for you, a doctor to come on site, you wake up, you're not feeling well, it's all here. So the word assisted is really just the term for licensing purposes, but there's a lot that you can have benefit from even if you don't need it. So that's kind of where I'd like to end on that note.
I think it's to the point. We just want to make sure that people understand what options they have out there and what the difference between those options are. I think we covered it, and if anybody has any questions, you guys can reach us, email us. We are here to assist and give you the proper guidance and recommendation.
And the last thing before we really end is I'd like for our listeners to really look out for the next podcast, because I'm going to cover what we have. It's open enrollment. Insurance is coming, and open enrollment is coming. And this is a very, very, very big topic for our seniors out there who don't understand. Do I switch insurance? Do I leave mine? What do I do with my Medicare benefits? So stay tuned for that podcast.
Excellent. That's coming soon.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Monica. It was great. And till next podcast.
Yep.
All right.